The musicality is impeccable.
You got moves.
All right, he started the recording, and that means, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GFC! We are ready and back for the finals. It is time to bring it all home. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate it. You guys are all amazing. I'm first want to say hi to our host for the evening, Animated Jay. How you feeling, man?
It's been an adventure. It truly has been an experience seeing so many Glovers, just the knowledge. It's just really been an experience, and I'm excited to be able to be here, in the finale, the grand finale of it all. So seeing it rise into where it is now, I'm feeling excited.
And you guys remember Jest and Recursion handling the concept side of the scorecard. Jest actually was handling the traits in previous rounds, but he's going to jump on over into the concept side. So, Mr. CEO of Clusters, how you doing, sir?
What's up? What's up? I'm here. I'm ready to get my my judge on for the last time. I could go get the wig if we needed.
I think I got us covered with the long hair. I think
All right,
we're
all right. I got the powdered wig on deck. I'm just saying. I got it.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, if you want to do it, I'm not stopping you. But Recursion, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, Teddy. I'm real excited to see these live shows. I've definitely been enjoying the journey so far and getting to see all the talent come through and everyone's different styles colliding is really, really cool to see.
And joining me on the traits side, we have a special guest judge, which is different from our guest judge. I know we got to work on that and figure that out. Joining me in the traits side, Krusty. Krusty, how you doing, man?
Yo, man, I'm excited to be here. Cheers, everyone. Thank you for having me on board. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this experience. This is the grand final, so, I'm expecting a lot of freaking great live shows. Let's get into it.
We're definitely got great light shows on deck. And speaking of great, I'd like to present our guest for the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, he has worked with multiple major motion pictures to choreograph things via tutting that I cannot specifically mention, otherwise the video will get taken down. But, ladies and gentlemen, JayFunk. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to get my mind blown. Let's see this.
We got you. So I again, thanks for joining us here. We really appreciate that. You have a special job today. For those of you that have not been watching, let me break down how this works. Krusty and I will be handling 20 points each for the traits side of the light show scorecard. Jest and Recursion will be handling 20 points each for the concept side of the scorecard. Now, for those of you that are a little short on the math side, that's 80 points per Glover per light show. Now, JayFunk here is entrusted with the guest points of 2.5 points that he can bestow to any one Glover. Or, if he has a little trouble deciding, he can split it up and go 1.5 to one Glover and 1 point to somebody else. But I wanted to raise the stakes a little bit for the grand finals and do more than just one guest judge. And in fact, judge is probably the word that I've said more than any other word in this competition, but not just me. I believe Animated Jay has also said that, and he continuously says, I'm not a judge. I'm not a judge.
I'm not a judge.
I'm not a judge. Well, today, sir, you also have 2.5 points that you can bestow in the same manner that JayFunk has. Either 2.5 to the Glover you feel deserves it the most, or 1.5 and 1 if it's a little split. So there are 5 additional points on top of the 80 that each Glover can earn. So this is a high-stakes light show. This is for first, second, and third place, 250, 150 in cash prizes for first, second, and third. And the winner will get a donation of $600 to the charity of their choosing. And we'll be playing some clips here for you guys just to kind of show you exactly who these Glovers are picking. So without further ado, before we get into his light show, let's take a look at this quick interview with Geometric.
So I'm Geometric, and I
got it because I was showing up at IGC 2016 and was a baby and had no clue what to call myself. And so I was like, I don't know, I guess I tut, and that's very geometric. So so I just called myself that. And once I competed, I was like, I guess I got to go with it. So here I am, like 5 years later. So I was gonna do the American Pitbull Association just because I have a little pitbull. She's hanging out with me right here. And they're really cool. Like we've had a lot of struggles me and my partner have with like getting housing because of pit bulls and just like everyone's like thoughts towards them and the prejudice that you face having a pit bull. And they spend a lot of time taking pit bulls to schools, like having kids meet them and showing that they're not like some demonic monster. And I really like that idea just because I love pit bulls. I've always had pit bulls, and I think it's a good cause, you know. I'd say the biggest thing with me is scheduling, which is ironic with today. But just trying to like be used to like planning out my videos has been something I'm trying to work with because I'm used to live competitions. I would say mainly like variation. A big thing I'm trying to work on that I've noticed is I repeat a lot of stuff, probably just because of how often I've been recording and just being in a pandemic, not seeing other people glove. So I'm trying to like get out of that rut and really try to not do the same show over and over, you know. I would say probably the first time I met everyone at Base Canyon. That was really cool because people like recognized me in the online community, and I'd never met anyone in that setting. I had people like Corey that were just like being really supportive and telling me that I should actively be competing and be trying and that I'm actually good. And I was like, what? That's crazy. Coming from like a small town where no one gloves, seeing people that knew the moves I was doing and knew me, that was pretty impressive. And then that's when I came back and shot that video in my bathroom that we were talking about. And ever since then, like all I do is glove now. Like that was kind of the moment that sparked all of that.
That was geometric. Animated Jay, take it away.
Well, that was powerful. If I had to pick a word, it was very powerful. And just I felt like he had a set of like he wanted to hit parts of it. He was like, this is this part. And bam, now I switched to this. It was like so many different styles, or it looked like different styles what he was doing, but just very like powerful, like right directly at the viewer. So yeah, this is crazy. It's very high level, you know. It's cool to see these gloving at such a level. Like It's different and it's really cool. It really separates it, from I would say other styles. Like this, it gives this is a very good representation of the style. So I have to see what the other glovers are gonna do. Like, what's the difference between this glover and them? Because at this point, it's just I feel like it's just what kind of flavor you like of the style of gloving. I want to give it to just. How did you feel this was packaged? I guess delivered.
Powerful is a very good way to put it. At the very beginning, you can see him using his specific movement types to match the beat, but then also adding that little bit of tension that like adds that little bit of shake to the vibration that you're hearing, in the soundscapes. And he puts a lot of timing and pacing into it. He absolutely nails the complexity aspects. He absolutely brings you through a litany of different styles, as you said. He hits you with the whirly doos like any good Glover does, and then he also hits you with the clusters. Like he knows the meta, and he's going to show you how to do it right. So I'm excited to see what the other two have to say in response to this. Very high points to start with.
Recursion. It's gonna ask because more of like the space of it, like how the space was that he used, like was because I see it very direct, but again, I understand like you got in gloving, space can be seen more diverse. But what did you feel of his spacing?
His spacing was really good. I really enjoyed when he went into his tut section, and he really popped off there and really showed his understanding of the greater grid and where his body places along it, or his head. And then the similarity to that grid and how he meshed his scales and cluster concepts within that in that close up. That close up box basically represents the larger tutting box at a further back angle, right? And those line up
Mhm.
very nicely as well. Just put it really nicely that, he understands the meta and he's gonna show you how it's done. But I know that the other two also understand the meta, so I'm a little torn here. I'm very curious on what the others are gonna throw.
Yeah, again, like I said, I feel like it's at this point, it's like it's just really what separates you from like your style or who you are, what you're gonna do to this very powerful. Because I feel like if it's like the rest of the Glovers, if it's just gonna be very powerful, very similar, then I don't know. I feel like he's gonna take it. We'll see. I don't know. Krusty. The one thing that I feel we haven't touched really deeply upon is the music, listening, being the beat, the musicality aspect of it. It was wild. I felt like he was connecting with the music. But what did you feel? What did you see?
Well, thank you for bringing that up because musicality is something I really like to talk about. First of all, I really was cheesing throughout his show. Like I really enjoyed Geometric Show. That's actually my first time seeing one of his shows. During the beginning, he put a lot of tension at the beginning in terms of making his movement shake, timing it really well. Making that shake in general, it's not as easy as people think. And timing it, it's not as easy as people think. Another thing that I really liked, I think it was around this timestamp of 126, where he hit the beat really well with his intricate cluster. He put his first of all, I'm not in the concept side, but he put his finger way up there and he
I,
hit the musicality as well. Yeah, yeah, I can't do that. But he did that, and he hit musicality, which I really, really liked. One thing I would have liked to see around the 155 mark, there was a beat that it was like the background beat, which I typically like to hit. I feel like he could have emphasized more on that. It was a little bit on the weaker side on that part. However, when it comes to the overall show and musicality part, man, I think he did a great job. Like I was really happy with the show. So yeah.
There it is. I was happy. Krusty was happy. He was happy. Everyone's happy. So Teddy, I know we haven't, again, another area we haven't talked about is that showmanship, that performance aspect, making the viewer feel like they are part of a show. That's, I think, one of the most beautiful things of in movement, dancers, street performers, artists, being able to put a show. What did you see here?
Um, so when you think of showmanship and performance, one thing that does slightly come to mind, and not just because Jest is here, are magicians. Magicians come to mind, and magicians use a thing called sleight of hand. And Geometric had a couple points in this show. I forget the exact timestamps, but there were a couple points where he had this almost sleight of hand about him. And we've actually talked in past episodes about how sometimes putting a hand in front here is harmful because you can't see what's going on here. But in Geometric's case, it was helpful because you couldn't see what he was doing, which led him get around to do to bring into those nice crisp moves, and that were just delivered so well. And the showmanship and delivery really just tied together in beautifully. And I just, yeah, like I said, the nuanced sleight of hand here was just he's gonna get major showmanship points from me. Just on that, just from on those two moves alone, those are gonna earn him some points. So I'm just great show, Geometric. Absolutely, just fantastic show.
JFunk. You know,
Yeah.
we all know you're wild, man. Angles, boxes, grids, 2000, and been doing it for a while. So like,
Sure.
what do you? I mean, what's your perspective? What do you see that maybe connects with you?
So I have zero idea what the gloving meta is right now, but there is something that he did in the middle of that show where I don't remember exactly what his like finger position was, but he had like a V shape here, and between that he was switching things and using like symmetry. And I think for me, one of the biggest things was that his energy was controlled that whole time. So there was never like a part where maybe he like got, you see some people and they give a show and it's almost like they get caught off guard by the song. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, the energy is building and then it drops and it's almost like they have to like adjust to it instead of them already being like on the ride of the song. And this guy, it's like the whole time he was like almost like he was in control of the music. So there was no part where you felt like the disconnect between what's happening in your face and what's going on in your ears. And so like that control of energy is super awesome. And it also allowed the show to come out very linear like. And, sometimes you watch a show and it's like you think of sections of it, and I don't necessarily always like that. I almost like the entire thing to be so self-contained that you get lost in the linear story of it instead of you like remembering chapters. You know what I mean? Maybe that's getting a little too heady, but it's just
No,
the
you're
fact
good.
that like he was very in control of the progression of moves that were going on along the entire song.
Did you want to? Did you? And if I'm hearing you out right, is it that you would have maybe preferred to see not a predictability or a control or something that changes, or perhaps that's totally not?
I definitely am a sucker for the whole like when the beat drops there is that switch, like that's sort of I guess you could call that predictable, but it's also really bizarre if you don't change energy because the song changed energy. Like and I understand that you're interpreting it, but there's something to be said about compromising between what you may have felt about the energy of the song and
What it
how the
really is?
delivery
Mm.
with the audience. You know what I mean? I feel like art is like that. Like there's a compromise between maybe what you want to say or interpret about the song and what the audience expects to happen. Whether that's expecting energy changes, whether that's expecting speed and movement dynamics, whatever that is. But I feel like there's a compromise that needs to happen, and I appreciate when it's done well.
Wow, I like that. I think that can be applied, like you're saying, to like many things, many layers, not just this what we're watching right now. But that's dope. Well, that's a wrap. We're done. Oh, we got two more. Just kidding. Teddy, what's next, man?
All right, Jay. Well, I'm glad that you are eager to get on to the next Glover, but we have some scores to share first. So Geometric is coming in with 66 out of 80 points right off the bat. 4, 4, and 9 from Jest for cleanliness, use of space, and concepts. 4.5, 5, and 8.5 for cleanliness, use of space, and concepts from Recursion. From Krusty on delivery, 4, showmanship 3, and musicality 7.5. From me, delivery, showmanship, and musicality 4, 4, and 8.5. So Krusty, a little harsher than I am today. I like it. It's good. I'm being too nice, I guess.
I mean, this is my first time judging, and I'm
No,
kinda-
I'm here for
you
it.
know what I mean?
I'm here for it.
I'm just-
I'm here for it. 100%. I want your honest opinion. Like what you feel is a 10.
Yeah, for sure.
What you feel is that's what you're here for. As long as you can get the same to everybody, then it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
But 66 is a tall order. In the last round, both Megasloth, Creepa, Jaypegg, and I'm sorry, take that back. Megasloth, Creepa, and Jaypegg all scored around 66, 65, between 65 and 67 points in the last round. And Geometric coming in right at there. So they have got to do some serious work to pull ahead of him. He has definitely set the bar pretty high. And I'm sure that as Megasloth and Jaypegg watching this at home are like, dude, get on with it already because I'm freaking out. So are we, guys. So are we. Anyway, we've always saved Megasloth for last, but so I feel like we got to change it up a little. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at Megasloth's first. Here is a quick interview with the man himself, followed by his finals light show.
So my Glover name is Megasloth. I got this name because back in the day when I first started raving, I asked this girl at a rave. I didn't even really know who she was. I was just like, hey, I heard everybody's got a rave name, so will you like give me one? And she looked at me for just a half a second and goes, Megatron. I was like, okay, sick. But as soon as I got into gloving, I had this weird sneaking suspicion. It's like somebody's got that name. That name is way too basic. Somebody's gloving under the name Megatron. So I was in a little rave family called the Sloth family. And that's how the merging happened. It's like, okay, Mega Sloth. We'll just go with that. And sure enough, I was right. There was a Glover named Megatron. He's super good. So dodged a bullet there. That's exactly where it came from. Just a mixture of the name and the family I was in. So I chose St. Jude. The reason why is I couldn't really think off the top of my head of any other charities that I felt confident in. I know every now and again, some charities aren't donating as much as they say and stuff like that, but I've donated to St. Jude in the past, and I just really like the work that they do. And, the kids. So I've learned a thing or two about myself when it comes to how I compete. It's very stressful, but I've learned that I just gotta get to it. I gotta get on it and watch my own videos back because that's how I learn. Like, okay, this looks terrible. I don't think this will score well. Oh, this thing looked good. Like, I'll keep this thing in the next takes. Because I always wondered why I take so long on my competition deadlines. I finally figured out I'm just so scared to sign off on anything until it's like the last second. I can't try anymore. I'm like, okay, this is the best video I have, and that's the one I'm going to have to run with. I learned that like there's just no way I could do it like some of these other glovers where they could get a video ready, be confident, seal it up, ship it out. Not me. Can't do it. I forget exactly which year it was, but one of the last IGC competitions, our bracket was on the second day, so got there nice and early, got ready to do my first round, and I had told Fabian, or Recluse as some people would know him, I told him weeks before IGC, it's like, we will have a round against each other, I'm calling it now. And I was at Jack in the Box with Thrillum and some other Glovers, and someone got a call that said they're starting the bracket right now. So Thrillum and I sprint over to the venue, and as we're running in, we hear 5, 4, 3. So we're like, oh no, we just caught a DQ. However, I walk up to everyone competing, and one of the judges runs up to me. It was Brandy. She runs up to me and says, "Hey, your competitor's not here. You can still go on the second half, and you'll still get your points." And I look up at the bracket, and I see who my opponent was, and it was none other than Recluse. And everybody knows that story by now. My man accidentally fell asleep a little too hard. Nobody woke him up, and he missed his rounds at IGC. It was kind of a bummer, but at the same time, one of the funnier experiences I've had, because it was just so jumbled up and crazy, and I thought I lost and all this other stuff, and we laugh about it now. It was a bummer at the time, but we laugh now.
Can't deny I've done it again, I've done it again. I tried to fight, but I'm in love again. I can't deny I've done it again, I've done it again. I tried to fight, but I'm in love again. I can't
And mid-J, that was Megasloth's Grand Finals light show. Take it away.
First, I love the music because it keeps looping because everyone has the same song, correct, Teddy?
Correct.
So I just feel like it really fits. Like I feel like it's like they're passing it back to each other. So he just passed it to Megasloth, and Megasloth was like, "Okay, watch, I'm gonna be chill and swag because you went hard. So now I'm gonna kind of like play and be charactery." So I saw a lot of character. If I had to say, last one was powerful. This one is character and atmosphere because he did this thing where he like drew on his hand. I don't know if he was drawing a letter or something.
Thank you for pointing that out, because at the very beginning he draws the W and then goes on to show you his W that he can't deny that he did it again, and then at the end he draws the L and throws it away.
Yes. Yes.
So that's
he did
where,
it again. He's done it again.
See.
Yep.
And like in that, because I knew, I was like, I wonder if there's something more. I'm not. I know somebody here will know it, but I was like, because I was like, I know it's something. What is he doing? So wow, that was again like that theater, that storytelling, having an introduction, having a conclusion, using his whole body, you know, much more than I would say the last geometric. It was very again, performance. Like I feel like Megasloth could dip I think he has a potential to dip into other art forms just because of how he performs with gloving. I don't know. That's how I like my mindset is going right now. Um, but it was wild. He did great. What a great response, you know? So yeah, Teddy, we're on the topic of like, showmanship and all that. So what do you
Mm. First of all, credit for the lighting. Lighting was A1. I could see everything, but I was still very focused on the lights itself. So just major kudos, and especially, I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but I'm gonna pretend like it is. There are some times where Glovers will set up a light, and in this case, the light above his head. They will set up a light, and they will move, and that light will either appear or disappear or change, and it affects the show negatively. It almost seemed like he used that light as a light, like because he would back up, do the big tuts, and the spotlight would be on him and give him the silhouette, and then he came close and overshadowed the light, so the light was behind him, and you just get like this. You just get like right here, and he's like right there, and it's just black and it's just light. So just the use of lighting to create multiple atmospheres, as you put it, that alone is major delivery points. I cannot say enough about delivery. I do have a stickler thing, and this is on the musicality side. So if you're gonna go to Krusty for this, I'm sorry if I'm taking you thunder, Krusty, on this. But in the build up, there was one part where it seemed like he kind of let the concepts go a little early, like just like he kind of like was like thinking about doing it and like, wait, no, hold on, be patient, and then he was patient and it paid off. But I could tell there was a little bit of that hesitation. There was just that one instance in an otherwise absolutely 10 out of 10 flawless show. But just kudos to Megasloth for just coming in with the most laid back, I got this, but also light show.
exactly. It's the approach. It's like, how do you do it? Not what you do, but how you do it, It's how it's done.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Speaking of, musicality, Krusty, that's right. That's right. I saw you. You said, hey, what about
Yes,
me?
sir.
So what do you feel? Teddy gave some thoughts about the musicality. What's going on in your mind?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, my thing is this, man. Like, I've seen Megasloth shows in the past. It's not my first time watching one of his shows. I think the first, 10 seconds around there, he did pretty much something that I've seen him do pretty often. Not all the time, but very often, where he kind of walks in and he does the pointing thing, which I quite frankly, I'm already used to that. So for me, it's kind of like I wish he would have came up with something different. Personally, that's just me, right? And then around the 15-second mark is kind of when it ended. But however, he did, like I said, like Jess brought it up, he did do the W, he did do the L. I thought that was pretty sick. Like I don't think that's something you don't really see, right? And another thing I want to point out is around the 22-second timestamp, he hit the actual lyrics, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, where I don't see a lot of people doing that, but he did do that. He was like, he hit the lyrics like dun, dun, dun. I don't remember exactly how it was, but he did that. The one thing I wish, and I haven't seen this really from anyone yet, is the I can't deny part. I mean, like, I don't think anyone has really emphasized the I can't deny part really well yet. That's my opinion, of course. That I don't feel like it's been emphasized enough. One last thing I would like to say is,
I agree.
yeah, one last thing I would like to say is that, Megasloth overall, like, I'm not judging the concept side or anything, just purely musicality, showmanship, and delivery. But overall, like, I feel like the one thing that I would have liked to see more of is perhaps like the intro was a little bit too slow for my liking. I know it's the finals, I know it's like showmanship part, but again, it's for me, it's something I've already seen, so I would have liked to see something different. But I think the ending of the video as well, it's just something you don't really see often. So I think kudos to him for doing that, and I'm just excited to see the last show. So that's all I got for now.
Just, can you break down? Hi, Jess. What's up? How you feeling? Awesome. I'm glad. So, Jess, can you Can you kind of break down what were the concepts? Were there things there that you were like, oh, I recognize that, like that's just a variation, or maybe like, oh, yeah, tell us what was going on concept wise.
See, here's the thing. Megasloth Megasloth is one of those dudes who just like doesn't have to practice the meta to just he's like Kirby. You know what I mean? Like Kirby just like absorbs everything around him and then just like takes on that like
Nice.
essence. And that's
Yeah.
kind of like what he does with the meta. Is he just like,
Wow.
oh, he sees something? Oh, that's mine now. And the best part about it is he does it in a way where it is intrinsically Megasloth. Because the way he puts his transitions together, his shows aren't so much concepts as they are transitions. He
Mm.
throws things together in ways that it is the best way to describe it is carefully rehearsed spontaneity. And what that means is because that's a contradicting statement, of course. What that means is it looks satisfying and rehearsed, but at the same time there's no possible way you could think that someone would come up and rehearse something like that. You know what I mean? Like it seems like it's perfectly spontaneous, but at the same time, how could you have done that without rehearsing it a million times? And that's the best way I can describe his transitions and his whole style. And it just seems like it's set up moves in advance. He's like a strategist with this stuff.
That's an interesting the way you described it. And I want to say one thing, Jay. Well, I'm going to get to you, Jay, but remember, just think of Salah and Jay Smooth. I'm going to make a comment about that. I'll come back to that. Okay, recursion. You know, I was just gonna say, I know you've been every time so honest with our contestants and really giving it to them. So clean. Or again, also you can add on what you previously, but I was gonna ask the cleanliness of it. What did you think?
I mean, that so it kind of plays into what Jess was saying with that like perfectly rehearsed spontaneity, and I think that attributes to uh
His absolute
your
lack of wrists.
well, yeah,
I'm sorry to
that's
interrupt, but
yeah.
like I mean
No.
that really is what it is. He doesn't have dude doesn't he doesn't have wrists. He can do everything. First of all, he has Luigi ass, linguini ass, spaghetti fingers. Okay, and then he has no wrists. So of course everything looks perfect. I'm sorry, it gets me upset.
Yeah. He he understands his placement within the grid to a point where he can go whichever direction he wants to, and that's kind of where that rehearsed spontaneity comes in. The intro was really funny because like as the song's going, I've done it again. I've done it. He's writing the W. You know what I mean? It's everybody knows
Character.
how
Everybody's
Megasloth
lost to Megasloth.
operates exactly, and it's almost a meme at this point. I will agree with Krusty, it was a little bit slow. That being said, the rest of it was phenomenal. He has this really good job of taking his transitions and flowing them, kind of like taking them away from you, but then bringing it back in. And right when it hits that center point, boom, it changes. And it's a really enjoyable flow to watch.
Now, JFunk. Okay. I want to ask you because now we've seen, these two Glovers, Geometric and Megasloth, and now it's like a battle format. Like I imagine it's like, if we were in a contest or something, some dance event, you had the person dance to the same music, and they had different approaches to it. Now I was thinking of Megasloth kind of reminded me of Salah in the way that Salah kind of had these spontaneous rehearsed, of course, moves. He had these signatures that he would do, but it looked like everyone would still be like, wow, like it was placed perfectly there. Also, the Kirby effect, where I feel Salah also, whatever style he learned, if it was like locking, if it was like b-boying, popping, I don't know the other styles he knows, but like he always added hisness to it. Like he would get it and take it and still getting to like top whatever contest. And then we had Geometric on the other side, who was very powerful and very, had a concept very powerful at you, which reminded me of Jay Smooth. Jay Smooth, popper, very strong waves, very zigzag, He was very like at you, the energy was like at you. So I don't know. What do you? And again, I could be totally just like making whatever's in my mind going, talking and such. I don't know. I do that. But yeah, Jay, what's your thoughts? Even if you want to share about battle wise, I don't know. Whatever, you know.
Um, First of all, that was incredible. Like that show was incredible. Um, I so learning that because obviously so like I've seen Megasloth's some of his shows before, and I think he usually is. I can't say usually. Every time I've seen a show from this man, it's been incredible. Um, it's not something that I remember that he kind of does this pointer thing, and I guess that's a signature. I don't see that as a negative, and one of the reasons why I don't see it as a negative was because he placed it so well on this one sound in the song that it felt like it was his. You know what I mean? Like I can't care that it's a thing that he does in every light show when it touched the sound so that's how that you know what I mean? Like that's just it just connected so well. Um, but God, the way that this guy just sort of like absorbed the entire song, and I actually have to disagree with um, some sentiments about it being like slow or a slow build up. Or I think someone also said something about how it looked like he was about to give a concept and then he had to like stop himself and like be patient or something. I actually I interpreted that a little bit differently. It almost seemed like he was showing flashes of something that's coming up, and it seemed controlled to me. It looked controlled to me, like it was like um, for instance, I'll give you an example. Like in a lot of house songs, when they do the build up, there's stuff in the build up that's gonna happen in the drop, and that's what it felt like. It was like he would give you flashes of something that that he's gonna revisit in the drop, and that's what it felt like to me. Um, yeah, it's so incredible how different this show was to Geometrics, and yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say. I really enjoyed that.
Well, before we get on to the last Glover for the evening, I think it's time to check out some scores. So, Megasloth with a 67.5, which means that he is ahead for now, but could be, but not enough to secure it out of our guest judge points here. So, 5, 4, and 8.5 for cleanliness, use of space, and concepts from Jest. 5, 4, and 8 for cleanliness, use of space, and concepts from Recursion. From Krusty, 4, 3.5, and 8 for delivery, showmanship, and musicality. And from myself, 4.5, 4, and 9 for musicality. Again, there was that one hesitation. Otherwise, I honestly kind of would have put it at 10. Krusty, you're wild here, man. But I see where you're coming from with the explanation about the musicality being about some of the stuff being stuff that you've seen before. So that makes perfect sense. If it seems too comfort zone, then yeah, you're right. You wouldn't give more
Yeah,
points.
yeah.
So that makes perfect sense.
No, I just think, like I said, like I said before, seeing Megasloth's lights on finals video, I
Mhm.
really felt that he pushed himself out of his comfort zone, and he did, some things that I think was amazing. In this last final competition, I would have, I felt like I had that expectation for him, and again, that's just my opinion. But overall, I mean, it was a great live show. You can't take really nothing away from it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. I was still 67.5 out of 80. Absolutely, killer score. Jaypegg has work to do. Absolutely tall order here. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and turn over to Jaypegg's interview, followed by his grand finals light show.
My Glover name is Jaypegg. I gave the name to myself. I did not really connect with the gloving community until a little bit later until I had been gloving for a couple years. I started gloving when I was really young, actually. I started when I'm about to turn 21, and I've been gloving for about 8.5 years now. So I started when I was like 12, which is really wild. I started because a friend of mine from school, his older cousin was a raver, and he like kind of brought it to us. So yeah, so I just thought it sounded cool. I thought it was kind of funny. And yeah, it was pretty random that I picked that name. It really doesn't mean much, but I feel like if nothing else, I grew into it because, I mean, outside of gloving, I am a photographer. But beyond that, in my gloving itself, um, I feel like something that I really value is cleanliness. Um, so the way I kind of think about it now and the way I've grown into my name is that like I want you to be able to stop my shows on any frame, and that could be like a picture of gloving. That could be like it'll look good if you stop my show, pause it at any time. That's kind of like my goal. So that's kind of how I logic myself into my name at this point. But in terms of how I got it, it doesn't actually come from anything. So the charity that I would like to donate to is Stop AAPI Hate. I think it's a really important thing right now. You know, so much has happened in over the course of the COVID-19 pandemic with like in terms of you know, a lot of it has been nothing new. It just kind of like exacerbated, made things worse, and like brought attention to issues that were already there. And I think that discrimination and increasingly violence against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders is really important. And there are a lot of communities around the US that really need that support. I feel very privileged to have grown up as an Asian American, but in Hawaii, where we're not really a minority. Um, like I am a mixed race Asian American, and it breaks my heart to see people that look like me and look like my aunties and my grandparents getting just absolutely terrorized around the country. So I think that this is a cause that really speaks to me right now, and I think it's very important for that support to go to these communities. This has been a real challenging competition. It's a super unique competition. Like nothing like this has ever really been done before. And just the scale of it, like I don't think there's ever been an online competition to this scale and with this much at stake. And I think it's been really cool to have this transparency in the judging so I can really see how I'm being judged, what the judges specifically like, to hear the judges talk about what they like and dislike about my specific rounds really helps me to move forward and improve rather than just looking at a scorecard. I also appreciate that I'm able to go and watch how anybody else was judged. Like I personally, one of my strategies throughout this competition is I've been going through the scorecards and seeing like basically who scored the best, who scored the worst, who scored better than me in certain parts of the scorecard, and basically seeing what the judges said about these different glovers on the scorecard and seeing what I can apply to myself. Because I think that's something super important in gloving, is not just to learn from what is said about you, but like also learn from what is said about other people, because that can really teach you what the judges are looking for. Because I think there's been a really unique panel of judges. I think it's been a really interesting experience having non-glovers judge this competition. I've never really seen that before, and it's really yeah, bringing that different perspective in here and kind of having us think a little bit harder about what we're doing in our shows, how that is perceived by different types of people that aren't just glovers. And I think it's also cool because we just the panel of judges that has been able to be part of this competition. There's OGs, there's like newer glovers that have really made a name for themselves. So it's again, it's like figuring out how I can appeal my style to this such a diverse group of judges in terms of like gloving style and generation and stuff. I just love every minute I spend with my fellow Hawaii glovers, especially since I haven't really met that many glovers outside of Hawaii. One of my favorite memories is probably the first Hawaii Boss. That was a really great competition. Actually, and it was a very exciting competition. The finals match was one of the most hype matches I've ever seen. It was Puppet versus Mr. Freckles. Crazy match. That was so much fun to watch. Um, and then also in terms of like my own experience with that competition, I was in a three-way tiebreaker for the last two spots in the top 8, and that was just like the most insane, like stressful time, like in a gloving competition I was in, because it was between me, I am Far Storm, and Ale. He came out for our boss, and those are both glovers that I really respect and look up to. I did. It was me and Storm that made it onto the top 8, and then I got out round 1, but of top 8. But yeah, that was a super fun and exciting competition. There were so many people there. I think that might have been like probably the biggest just gathering of the Hawaii gloving community ever, at least in my memory. So that would probably be my favorite gloving memory.
Well, that was Jaypegg.
Yeah, again, these top 3 glovers, they each showed something different. Like the first, it was geometric, very powerful. And then Megasloth to me was very character, theatrical. And JPEG to me, I would say was very light in transitions. Like it felt very light. Like even like it just felt like it was like a feather, like his transitions. To me, it just felt very gentle. And even like because I'm looking at a like
Delicate.
yeah, it looked elegant, and I have to even admit, like, the background, the lighting which goes around him kinda gives this warm feeling as well. There's like the color plays a role in this elegance, and then on top of that, the clothes he's wearing are like these short, the shirt's like very light, you see his entire arm, very gentle. Um, Now the question is comparing to the first 2 Glovers, how does that do? I don't know. We kind of talked about, opinions on what is would, the ideal or, when we're judging these uh different Glovers that are all different in their own way. Musicality was a topic I know we were kind of going to talk about. So since musicality, I heard you had a couple of thoughts on that. Krusty, would you like to share your thoughts on,
Yeah,
JPEG's musicality?
absolutely, man. Like, I'll just start from the beginning and make my way towards the end. In the beginning, I do feel that he used the timing of the video itself. He was focusing on the musicality right off the bat. And I also think like, yes, like he did the on the 23 second mark, he did the can't deny part. He didn't repeat it more than once, which I like that because people they'll try to repeat it more than once. And I think that's not good. During the 30 second mark as well, he did hit his, he basically hit some beats that, he made it very noticeable. I don't remember exactly the beat itself, but I made a little bit of notes here. And then also around the 48 second, he slowed down his like tempo, and he also hit the musicality on that part as well. And then there's some highlights as well that I wrote down. I don't remember exactly what he did, but around the 138 stamp, he did something that I really liked, and around the 2 minute and 12 stamp, he also did something that I really liked, which I'm sure they can play over. And the last thing I want to say, kind of want to end with that, towards the even like at the very end of the light show, like he still was focused on the music, and he still hit the beats. So like yeah, kudos to him, man. Like this was a really hard one to judge. Like overall in general, it's my first time judging here, but I'm really happy with everyone's performance, and I just want to say that everyone did a great job. So back to you, animated.
And that's true, like you said, everyone did a great job. Like regardless of who wins, you're all wild. But we'll talk about that more later. Teddy, I would love to ask you also your perspective on musicality, but I'm gonna ask you about delivery.
It's really hard to be delicate and elegant in the finals, especially up against Megasloth and Geometric, who, as you said, powerful and character are the two words of to describe their shows. It's you have these three Glovers who took the same song and built an entirely different performance around it because they all have a different approach to it. And it really is an interesting format because you have a three-way battle where they're all using the same song. So you really do get all angles at once regarding what the capability is for that song for a light show. It but and how all three of these Glovers delivered their moves so differently. For Jaypegg specifically, there were a lot of little things. I think he used this pathway a lot, this center pathway, and I really have a problem with people that just live on this pathway a lot because it's very predictable and it becomes almost like I'm watching a grandfather clock just swing by, and I'm like, okay, now you're over here, and now you're over here, and now you're over here, and now you're over here. But I feel like he didn't overdo that. I feel like he didn't overdo that much. And I see Ricardo is chomping at the bit, so I'm just gonna end it here so that Jay can turn it over to him.
Who was it? Recursion?
Yeah, Recursion over here, just I
had a little note about that using that plane.
Go for it.
When you're throwing a show on that plane, especially to a camera, it's really important to make sure that you're on that plane and that you're not kind of on that plane, because then that line becomes a little oval, and that gets docked on cleanliness. Just make sure you're flat.
I'm only talking about like me and Teddy. We're only talking about musicality, right? So like all these like that's why Jess and Reclusion are here to talk about the other aspect. But yeah, man, like when it comes to judging that side, like I would have had another person more than the other. But yeah, that's just something I want to
wonder how different the scores would be if our
Exactly, right.
jobs
Who
were
knows,
flipped
man?
right
Who
now. Like
knows, man?
honestly, because like I mean, we were talking about it earlier. Realistically,
Yeah.
there's some things that you guys judged one way, and I like you said you liked that he didn't do the don't thing only once. I would have loved to see them do a few different ways of expressing the whole idea. For me, this is not enough. This just says don't. This just says I'm warning you of something. It doesn't say can't deny. It doesn't say that to me. It's just it's not enough. So
hell yeah, man.
Did you want to add more to because we heard from Recursion and we heard Krusty, Teddy, and I don't know, did you want to share anything else more? Well, that was
I all in all, Jaypegg threw a very good show, and when we see the final scores, there will
Mm.
be no denying that he can compete with either of these two guys. All three of these guys are on the same skill level. There's no denying that. But as you said it originally, Jay, there's three characters, there's three themes in play here. There's power. There's swagitude.
Wow, I like that.
And then there is, what did we decide? Elegance
Yeah,
or
feather, light,
delicacy?
delicacy. Yeah, yeah.
Elegance works.
Delicacy.
Elegance
See,
works.
and here's the thing: he as far as cleanliness went, and as far as intricacy went, he brought it. He absolutely brought it. He had a probably solid 45-minute digit combo that went through a bunch of different styles of combos, and it's just like clearly that was something that you sat down and practiced and put together over the course of your gloving career. Like clearly you've been working on that. There's no denying that. But to me, even as the cleanliness and the intricacy judge, it's those other aspects of the shows that end up coming in and
Right.
filling what could have been a less hollow performance, so to speak.
Wow. Well,
back to you, Jay.
Back to me. And from one Jay to the other Jay. Jay, what is going through your mind from seeing these three?
I will say that personally, I felt like Jaypegg was the most technically tight. If I was to go back through everybody's moves, and I'll give, this is one measurement. Obviously, there's a bunch of ways that you could see like how technical somebody is, but one of the things that I would say is that like if I was to go back through everybody's shows, and I think everybody brought difficult moves, but to me it seemed like Jaypegg was bringing stuff that looks like you need to practice that shit a lot. That's what it felt like to me. It was very, very practiced, very technical, complicated looking things that were happening with his fingers. I do think that his musicality was not, there was nothing offbeat, you know what I mean? So like I'm not gonna say that, but it just seemed like maybe the texture wasn't there. Like he played with some of the lyrics and some of the more pronounced parts of the songs, and to me the other two were playing with things in the music that are more easily ignored. You know what I mean? And the only reason that I even heard those sounds in the first place was because a movement happened on it. Does that make sense?
That's
It's
crazy.
like otherwise,
Can
otherwise I
offer a
wasn't
word?
paying attention to those little drums. You know what I mean?
Seemed like he was
Yeah,
more
go ahead.
careful, maybe.
You mean Jaypegg?
Yeah, he seemed like he was more careful, like tentative, not necessarily careful as in paying attention to smaller details, but careful as in more like reserved, so to speak.
Yes, that is how it felt. Yeah. So it's I think at the end of the day, still it's very hard to balance technicality and musicality, because it's like you have to do what you trained yourself to do, but you're also interpreting, what I mean, you're interpreting somebody else's creative work while you're doing it. And yeah, I mean that's again also incredible show, super impressed. But those would be my points. Technically so tight, very cool concepts, amazing dexterity. So I'll leave it at that and give it back to you, Jay.
Wow. That's all I have to say for this one, too. Teddy, that was it, right?
Well, before I announce JPEG's score, I need to figure out where these last few points go.
Oh, no.
So, I want to start with JFunk, and then we'll close it out with Animated Jay. So JFunk, you have 2.5 points that you can either bestow to one Glover, or you can go 1.5 and then 1 to 2 Glovers. Who gets your points and why?
I think I'm gonna have to give all my points to Megasloth. The performance was so goddamn natural, and he just very smoothly connected to the song, and made parts of the song speak to me in ways that it definitely wouldn't have if I had just heard the thing on by itself. He made the song sing, and then still very technical. He's Kirby to the meta, and it just worked for him. And I think that those things elevated him above the other two, being honest.
I like it.
So I'm
All right.
him.
He gets all your points. Animated Jay, same question. 2.5 points, either to one Glover or to 2. Who gets your points and why?
So I'm also gonna give all my points to Megasloth, and well, the reason why I'm giving just all my points is because there is one winner. There's going to be one winner, So I'm going to give all into the person that I thought honestly took it, and I think Megasloth took it. Why I think he took it? Well, because there's a lot to what he did. Like, not only did he show high level and gloving foundation, so he showed what is a light show, but then he also, when I see tutters that aren't glovers, how they use more open, boxes, angles. And he also then took that, like you said, he's Kirby, so he takes things, he gets good at it, and then on top of that, he's a character. Like, that's all you need. Now you can connect with people. Like, it's not about like, look how technical and crazy my movement is. It's like, look, I'm a person just like you, but I'm doing this thing called gloving. And yeah, it's this connection. That's back to the whole character thing. And again, it's just always a response. Like, I love that, and again, it's my own personal experience, but like, I love when a artist is able to be like playful, not so like da 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 da, like let me just like drown you in concepts or whatever. It's like play, and he's good. So I give all my points to him, and also Megasoft, because I'm sure you're watching. Um, Really, I would say continue growing and taking different things, like even outside of gloving, like take things outside of dance and like start looking at stuff, because I feel like you can really, you know, there's a reason why you're here and doing your thing. So anyway, that's my comments.
Well, Jaypegg did come in also at 67.5 points, 4, and 8.5, 4.5, 4.5, and 8.5 for cleanliness, user space, and concepts, respectively. 4.5, 4, and 8.5 for delivery, showmanship, musicality from Krusty. 4, and 8.5 from me. Again, putting him at 67.5. But these extra 5 points are going to hand the title over to Megasloth. So congrats to Megasloth. You, sir, have just won the GFC, and I see here on your submission that this is going to the donation is going to go to St. Jude. Absolutely fantastic charity choice.
A1 charity choice.
A1. I can't believe it. So, everybody, all the finalists, please shoot me a DM and I'll get your prizes squared away. I just want to thank everybody for participating. I want to thank Animated Jay, JayFunk, Jest, Recursion, Krusty. I want to thank Sike for coming in and doing some of the editing after he got taken out by Geometric, unfortunately. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate you. I want to thank Freebie for coming and doing the editing before that. I also want to go ahead and thank Starlight, Lust, Jump, Blitzen, Vincent Van Flo, Mirage, Waxy, Socks, Phoenix Banuelos, Katz, and Peanut for all joining us in various episodes. I think that's everybody, right? I'm pretty sure I got everyone. Jump. No, I said Jump. Yeah. Yeah, I said Jump, Lust, Blitzen. Yeah, they were around one. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, no, and Rhapsode too. Yes, Rhapsode. Thank you so much for joining us in round two. We appreciate that. Yes, absolutely. Thank you to everybody.
Never forget about Rhapsode.
Yes, no. I knew I was forgetting. I was like, wait, no. I literally talked to him today. I was like, I'm forgetting somebody. I knew it. So yeah, we go. Rhapsode. Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for participating. But we've kind of been slacking on something here. So, Animated Jay, what is our roundtable topic for today?
Well, now that GFC is over, what should we change on the scorecard and why is our tabletop talk discussion.
All right. So, if you're watching us on YouTube, hang out, subscribe, like, and comment, and then the next notification you get after you click that bell will be for the roundtable video in a couple days. And if you're watching us on Facebook, you should go over to our YouTube, which is youtube.com/c/yougotmoves, which Scotty will put beautifully up on the screen here. Wonderful. And then you can subscribe, and then same thing applies. Once you hear the bell, the next video will be the round table loaded up and ready to go. But anyway, thank you for joining us. Congrats again to Megasloth. Jaypegg is going to take second place, and Geometric coming in third. Again, fantastic showing. We'll be in touch with St. Jude as well as with the rest of our winners to get these prizes sorted out. And we'll see you guys at the round table.